Hi, I'm George Saylor of the LD Fargo Public Library in beautiful downtown Lake Mills, Wisconsin. Right now I'm on the porch of a house in Lindsborg, Kansas. I'm on vacation. Since I'm on vacation, about 2 weeks or so, I bought a box of books with me. Not bought. And I'm not going to read them all, but I brought a wide variety, including 3 books by James Reasoner, believe it or not. This one, another one from a series I started earlier, and a paperback from Hard Case Crime that isn't exactly Hard Case Crime. They call it something else, and wouldn't you know it, the paperback's not in here. Well, here's another one, Reasoner. And I got Bernard Cornwell, always good. I've got a Western. I got a nonfiction. I got some novel. What's this? Bill Crider? Never heard of that guy. But, like I said, I don't plan to read all these, but I brought plenty just in case, because, you have an interest in one thing you want to read and one thing you don't, depending on just whatever. And sometimes you don't have something handy, and so I grabbed kind of a variety. And the last video I did was that ALA convention video, and if you fast forward, actually you could fast forward to the whole thing, it's not really all that interesting. But if you fast forward to minute 5 at about that time, you'll see this guy. So Neil Gaiman was at the ALA convention, and Gaiman has this kind of poofy hair. He's about my size, has poofy curly dark hair. He's wearing all black, and I was walking around and I saw this guy. I said, "Hey, that's Neil Gaiman." And sure enough, it was Neil Gaiman. And then I'm walking around later on, and I'm going through one of the booths looking at books, and just about 2 minutes ago I'd seen Neil Gaiman signing books, and I look over again, and well, how the heck did he get over there? But there he was, this guy with poofy curly hair, dressed in black. And we looked a little closer, and there was some other dude. So I went up to the guy and I said, "Hey, does anybody think you're Neil Gaiman?" And he said, "No, I wish." And he shook my hand, and we parted ways. And I didn't know who the guy was. I just talked to him. Anyway, I'm wandering through again, and there's an author's stage there with a bunch of chairs in front where authors were on and off throughout the day reading. And I look up and said, "Hey, there's that Neil Gaiman guy again." And sure enough, it was this guy, Sakey. He's an author from Chicago. He writes crime books. And the great thing about Sakey is that I was sitting there filming him, and whenever somebody asked him a question, he had all these paperbacks, which were the British edition of his book, and he'd toss it out to him. And so I figured, hey, I could come up with a question. So I came up with some lame question, and I got a free book. Turns out the book's pretty good. This is about Jason Palmer. He's a former soldier, served in Iraq, maybe Afghanistan, well, at least in Iraq. And he kind of got drummed out with a less than honorable discharge. He had a particularly traumatic time in Iraq. He just kind of fell apart while he was there. And he ends up back in Chicago, bumming around, drinking during the day, drinking during the night, picking up random chicks, taking them back to his apartment. Somewhat kind of semi-suicidal with his post-traumatic stress disorder. And his brother, Michael, is a few years older, widowed, and has an 8-year-old son. And he hangs out with the brother a little bit. Turns out the brother lives in this crap hole of a neighborhood, a fictional neighborhood that Sakey calls Crider. And he's a bit of a crusader. He fights against the gangs, fights for the good guy, all that kind of stuff. And he gets murdered. He's murdered, beaten to death in his bar, and the bar burned down upon his body. And his 8-year-old son witnesses the whole thing, runs over to Jason Palmer, the uncle. Jason has to protect him. At the same time, he's fighting this kind of self-destructive behavior of his. He feels awful about himself. He's a real loser. He breaks everything. Nothing goes right for him. He meets a girl cop. They kind of dig each other. The girl cop ends up being on the run with him because her partner's a bad guy. Well, kind of all the basic stuff you get. But, yeah, it's all basic. I mean, it's a mystery, but it's well done. It's pretty gritty. I was on the stopped reading at the beginning because there's some unpleasant stuff in there that I just couldn't deal with. Like this guy's post-traumatic stress, he's falling apart, he's turning into an alcoholic. His nephew is at risk of being murdered by the gangsters who don't want to witness after the fact. And it's also a bit longer, too. It's about 430 pages. So as a novel, most of the novels I read are about 50 to 100 pages less, which is irrelevant. But anyway, this is a pretty good story. It talks about the politics in Chicago, how everything is kind of intertwined. So many people are crooked and on the take. And all in all, it's just a good book. That's about it. I'm on vacation. I don't really, have much to say. There's not a whole lot to do in Lindsberg, but that's good because I just gotta get to sit around and relax. I'm not running here, running there, going to all these different places. I can just kind of hang out. Anyway. You can turn it off now if you want. Bye. No, I'm serious. I'm done.